Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and a game between TyLooJim versus WEGIGAloner here on Metalopolis. This is game 5 in the series. Both sides have been just exchanging games with each other so far in this matchup, and we'll see whether or not the trend continues. And I believe Loner won the first game, so it would be Loner's chance to finish off Tylo, as Jim then won Game 2, Loner won Game 3, and I believe Jim then won Game 4. So we see Jim spawning as the red Protoss player here at the 9 o'clock position. Meanwhile, at the 6 o'clock position, we see Loner. So it is going to be Loner versus Jim, and on close air spawns here on Metalopolis. Now, as this game gets underway, there's a lot of things that could happen and can go down. Warp Prism play, dropship play, and medevac play may become a bit of an issue. Now, there are only two real entrances into this north or east and west side of the map, so it is possible to split the map. But then again, we are talking about Terran versus Protoss, and because the Protoss units are so beefy, they can easily take 2 to 3 siege tanks blasts without getting destroyed, unlike Zerg, where you normally have east versus west or split map battles. We're going to see Jim now come in with the probe, take a look around, and see exactly what he needs to see so far. Seeing exactly that Loner is not going for any early gas, which means that he's going to go for an expansion. And we'll see how this all really works out. The probe just still wandering around on the inside here, taking a look, sees that there's no gas. He could go in for a little bit of harassment, but the SCV now coming over as well. And the SCV doing a little bit of a chase there, as we should be upgrading to an orbital command, perhaps building another supply depot as the units do make their way out. There is a pylon back over here being warped in. Interesting position for it, as he will be able to warp in units straight onto the low ground and really shrink the size of this map. We are going into a cybernetics core. Zealot now being trained. It is not being chrono boost, as Tylo now saving a decent amount of energy. We'll see what he spends that chrono boost energy on, as we now also see a command center being built at the 3-minute 10-second mark. So at the 3-minute 10-second mark, an expansion already being established. So Loner's really going to need some additional barracks, as well, as he is now going to end up being supply blocked for a little bit of time, I think. Or did he have the timing? Oh, he's going to be supply blocked for about a half a second. Very, very nice build order here, as the SCV now wanders around once more. The Stalker going to come in, chase after that SCV. You can see the chrono boost there, perhaps a second chrono boost on the cybernetics core in order to get that warp gate tech out even faster, as energy on a Nexus doesn't really do anything until you spend it. Now, a bunker is already being built here, and this is a rather wide open area. So you can see that Loner is building the bunker closer to his command center in order to fend off units that try to make their way up the ramp, or perhaps units that try to come down over here. The Marines can pop out of that bunker, get some damage, and then jump into the safety of the bunker if needed. We can see that there is a Stalker down, making its way around, as Tylo is also going into that second base as well, setting up the expansion sometime around the 4-minute 15-second mark there, so not too far behind. Loner desperately trying to get in a lot of Marines to fend off what may be a very strong attack. He hasn't really scouted out his opponent yet, but as soon as he sees this SCV, sees that there is the Nexus here, his heart can just give a little bit of a sigh of relief. He should respond by getting gas, or already had gas, but he knows that he can do a little bit more teching, add on tech labs and reactors, as he knows that most likely a large frontal attack will not be coming in. We can see more Marines still being added here, probes being transferred down to the low ground already. Warp gate tech has been completed. Upgrading to warp gates should be in just a moment here, waiting for the rest of those warp gateways to finish building and warping in. 38 over 38, so Loner a little supply blocked now, not really able to do much. Finally adding on a tech lab there, should perhaps add on a reactor and another tech lab as well, as this game does move on into the mid portion of this game. You can see a quick scanner sweep revealing robotics facility, standard 3-gate with the robotics facility there, as the Stalkers and sentries are now just mining away. Engineering bay also coming in as well. Level 1 weapons upgrade may be started. as we can see that the Zealots and the supply depot is doing a very interesting wall off over here, preventing any true walk-arounds along this backside. Meanwhile, also getting another supply depot back over here to prevent any more walk-arounds there. Loner is now sitting on 33 harvesters compared to 37. Jim has been able to chrono boost out and now take a slight economic advantage as the Observer now coming across the center portion of the map. We are going into Stim and another tech lab as well. We may be getting a reactor here in just a moment. And then sometime around the 8-minute mark, I believe we should be seeing a factory in order to go into Starport. He already has his third refinery setting up as well. Concussive shell now being researched, and I believe, canceling a reactor. Not quite sure what that was about, as we are now going into a factory here. Perhaps he wanted that gas just slightly faster in order to start the factory, as he is a little bit more gas locked than anything else, and we are now going into a robotics bay. This is going to be good news for Jim. If Jim has enough gas to just really crank out a Colossi and get the extended thermal lance range, he should be able to counter this massive bio army that Loner's trying to go for. He does not have extended thermal lance range right now, though, so that may be an issue. Perhaps waiting to start it after getting some more sentries so that he has plenty of force fields to kind of corral and push those Terran units around. Combat shield has not been researched either, so the extended thermal lance range Colossi should be able to slice through them rather quickly. Now going into a Stargate. Alright, I am confused. Jim going into a robotics bay, and now also going into a Stargate. That is not normally how you normally operate as a Protoss player. You could perhaps get some Void Rays or Phoenixes, but you really want those Colossi in order to deal damage against a massive bio army. You could get Phoenixes to try to absorb the damage from the Vikings, but then again, if you had without the extended thermal lance range, the Colossi will be so overcommitted into the game that it's not going to really work out well for you anyways. You can see one Colossus is up, a second Colossus now being added, extended thermal lance range now being added as well, as we are finally going to see what a Phoenix is going to be able to really do in this matchup. The factory going to make his rounds as a Marine walks up, spots the probe not going to really be able to do much except for die, and now giving the Zelnaga tower over to Loner. Now, Jim looks like he is looking to establish his third base, and if he's able to get this third base up and running, that would be very, very huge, as the Observer does spot this base already coming in. The Colossi are spotted here, sentries and a Phoenix now trying to get in some damage, but not quite sure why he just let that factory come into play. Stalkers, if they warped underneath it, would have been able to finish it off a bit more. Extended thermal lance range needs about another 50 seconds or so. Another Phoenix being added. So this may be a bit of a timing attack. But if he was going for a timing attack, he shouldn't be getting this Nexus. If he was trying to go for a 2-base all-in, this is a rather strange composition right now. The Phoenixes should be able to harass and deal damage back to those Vikings, but you also remember that Phoenixes have a rather shallow or short range, and they're going to be within range of Marines if they are trying to attack. You can see one medevac going to get destroyed. Marines just going to get destroyed. There's a Graviton Beam, and there's another takedown of a Marine there, as the Phoenixes want to make sure that they're alive to do their overall damage. No charge on the Zealots, as we are now going into a fourth Colossus. But this is also buying time for Loner to get in a lot of Vikings. We are now sitting on 2 Vikings. He should be able to get it up to 6, perhaps even 8, unless the attack comes in soon. I could have sworn there were a lot more Vikings in the air, but that is simply not the case. 3 Vikings right now. There's the 4th one. Now going for 5 and 6. He needs about 8 in order to fight back against this many Colossi, especially with another Colossus being added. And now we are finally going into the Forge. So you can see that Jim has a very strong technologically advanced army, as we are now going to see what chrono boosting off of this one particular Nexus as well, trying to get more gas in as well. As the Observer still keeping track of this army, you can see double Viking production off of 2 starports. So we are really getting into heavy Vikings now. And if Loner doesn't have to deal with Psystorm, and he has the number of Vikings that he has, I don't think that those Colossi are really going to be able to do much of anything. Those Vikings are going to be focus firing, most likely. If they do not focus fire, they're going to be going after the Phoenixes, and that would actually be very beneficial for Jim, as Jim wants those Phoenixes to try to absorb some of the damage that the Vikings are doing. We are now up to 9 Vikings in the air, 3 more Vikings being added, 10 Vikings in the air, 3 more Vikings being added, salvaging bunkers as well, and now gonna perhaps get into 200 food in just a moment, running off of 4 barracks, 2 starports, and that is, 6 barracks and 2 starports. These barracks are not yet quite added. Taking a look at this, nothing currently in production. A little bit of a break, I guess, for those barracks not training in units at all. We are now going into Ghost as well, so the Ghost for EMP Shockwave finally coming in. There is a proxy pylon now warping in down over here. I believe that will get taken care of in just a moment, as we now see triple command centers being built by Loner. So Loner perhaps going to be going into a very heavy orbital command play and trying to free up some food. 74 probes versus 63 SCVs. That is a lot of minerals to be investing into that many command centers now. As we can see, 16 Vikings in the air, 17 Vikings in the air, as the Vikings are just going to be able to one-shot many of those Colossi, even if they have the extended thermal lance range, and this is going to be a very, very dangerous battle. SCVs now on the run. Level 1 weapons upgrade for the Protoss Air. Now getting into a lot more Phoenixes as well. 10 Phoenixes against, 17 Vikings. The Vikings will obviously win that battle, but will Loner focus fire is going to be the key question about who's going to win in this battle. You can now perhaps see Orbital Command should be upgrading in just a moment, and he's going to be able to get up into maximum food with Orbital Commands, and I like this play by Loner. Getting as many orbital commands as possible for maximum mules, and also to not really have to build that many supply depots. We're going to now see the engagement, both sides rather large, a 9,000 resource, almost 10,000 resource versus a 10,000 resource army on both sides, and that is a lot of Colossi. The Colossi are now upgraded level 1. Phoenix is going to be able to finish off this one factory very quickly. Down it goes. And the Stalker even coming over as well. The Vikings need to make their way over. And with no Psystorm, EMP Shockwave, however, hitting a couple of the Colossi as a Stalker now on the high ground quickly gets sniped down. The Colossus going to try to engage and now go after some of those Ghosts. And now in comes the engagement. EMP Shockwave, and now Phoenix is going after Vikings. Colossi are engaging. And now the Vikings are going after the Colossus now. Both sides engaging very heavily. Both sides losing a lot of resources, as the Vikings are going to have free reign on those Colossi. The Phoenix is not really doing their job, simply outnumbered, and there wasn't enough Stalkers on the ground. Losses, 8,400 versus 7,300. Both sides now rebuilding their armies as quickly as possible. Marines now being added once more. Orbital commands, and this one needs to be upgraded to an orbital command as well, as we are now going to be getting into a lot of mules, most likely upgrading to a planetary fortress as well. The probe does spot this, as we are now getting even more zealots down on the low ground, more Phoenixes, more armor being added, level 2 infantry upgrades and armor upgrades as well. So we'll see how all of this is going to work out, as Marines and Vikings are now in the air just waiting. TyLooJim attempting to take this 12 o'clock expansion location. He has a slight food advantage, but with 8 mules in play, I do believe that Loner has a much stronger economy, calling in those mules at the gold mineral patch. Currently 8 mules here, so he is more than strip mining with those mules, as the Vikings and Zealots and Colossi are about to engage. Here we go. It looks as though, an EMP Shockwave and a round of attack. Both sides going to try to engage. There's the force fields, medevac, Marauders and Marines, both sides trying to fight. It looks like the Immortals are going to be able to push their way through, and the Phoenix is getting in some easy damage. The one Viking accidentally going into ground mode, needs to get back in the air. But wow, TyLooJim going to be able to destroy many of the Vikings, and now 4 Colossi against no Vikings whatsoever. And this is going to be a bit of a problem. The Colossi could start attacking into this location. I don't know why he doesn't, as that would be huge. The Colossi, no, going to go instead after the planetary fortress. He needs to do something now. He has the larger army by far, and if he's able to get in some damage, SCVs coming in, Vikings not going to be able to do much, taking out the army. You can see Vikings trying to engage as well, going after those lower hit point units, unable to do anything about it. And it looks like TyLoo is going to come out ahead with just massive number of Colossi. And with, what, 5 Colossi in the field. And this was all really off of 1 robotics facility. This was quite an amazing... Oh, sorry, 2 robotics facility. But it was still quite an amazing game coming in from TyLooJim, able to just train up that many units. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this best of 5 series between TyLooJim and World Elite's GigaLoner.